I'm Patricia Drey Busse. I'm the managing editor at the South Washington County Bulletin, and I am here with Reese and Tom Dippel, and we're trying a new thing today. We are trying to start a little talk show about issues here in the local community. So I'm going to start out, since this is our first time, just kind of asking our panelists, Chris and Tom, a little bit about themselves. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your involvement in the city?
Sure. I've been in Cottage Grove now for 12 years. I've been a member of the Planning Commission for 6 years, and now I'm on the Economic Development Authority, and several-time candidate for council. Just very interested in what's going on, and that's about it.
All right. And Tom?
Lived in Cottage Grove for 24 years now, ever since I was 3 years old. Moved from Newport and ran for city council once. Learned a lot in the process, and kind of opened my eyes to the local political spectrum rather than just the federal and state level, and piqued my interest in seeing what our city was doing, see what the mayor was doing, council members, commissions, and so forth, and I just found it really interesting.
All right. Well, our topic for tonight is taxes. So I will start out just asking about the situation here in Cottage Grove. Basically, Cottage Grove is facing a $600,000 cut in state aid in 2010 and falling tax revenues due to the housing market. And so in response to that, the council has said that they might raise the tax rate. It doesn't necessarily mean people's the raw amount they're paying would go up, but the tax rate would definitely go up. And I'm just curious what you two think of that. And Tom, you want to start?
Sure. My perspective is sort of looking at it in a macroeconomic sense. I think that all cities and all leadership within cities need to pay attention to what's going on in economics and plan ahead of time, and not necessarily be so dependent on the state per se, but prepare ahead of time if there is something coming down the pipeline, cutting things that aren't needed. And that's specifically what I would look at to not raise taxes in this kind of environment. I think that the worst thing that you can do for an economy is actually to raise taxes when you're in a recession/depression, depending on how you want to categorize it. Therefore, before raising taxes, I would try to look at every single option before doing that.
Well, you talked about preparing for this. Is there something Cottage Grove should have done that you see to prepare for it?
There's a few different schools of economics out there. There's the Austrian school and there's the Keynesians. And the Keynesians kind of encompass the government and the systems right now. Our country used to be more of an Austrian economics country. Well, the Austrian economic school said, we have a major issue here. We have a housing bubble. Prices are going to collapse. The bubble is going to burst, and you need to prepare for it. And at that time, I think there should have been cuts made, even though people probably would have been up in arms about it. It takes leadership to say, we need to prepare for what's coming. We need to make some cuts on things that are wants right now and store up a little bit of money here for a rough day, and I think that that would have been the best thing to do. It's behind us now, of course, and that's why I say you got to look at different things now, different wants. I think there's plenty of wants out there still that can be looked at.
I'm sure you have something to say at this point, Chris.
Well, since 2003, the city has really focused on being, I'll say, frugal, and has known that eventually the local government aid is probably going to go away in some form or another. And this year, as in last year and the last number of years, the tax levy has gone down. You know, and this year 90% of this, well, what's being proposed right now, if you look at it, the tax levy will go down and property taxes will go down for about 90% of Cottage Grove, which, you know, given our current environment, is pretty good compared to a lot of the East Metro, especially when you look at our neighbors, you know, to the east of us who are looking at a double-digit increase, and talking about cutting back on you know, going to a smaller, you know, smaller services such as police. We're still obviously looking, I'm sure, for ways to cut, but we're not in the big hurt position that we could have been. So I think, you know, right now it is, you know, it's always time to tighten the belt and see what you can do. But I think we're not in this situation where we are looking at, okay, well, we need to chop some serious things off, and it's going to hurt a lot. Obviously, it's going to pinch, but it's not going to be the hurt that it could have been, especially that a lot of people are facing.
Right, and my view on that is I don't think that we've hit the bottom yet in the housing market, and there might be a chance that we've hit it nominally, meaning if inflation catches up to the housing prices that we have now, they'll hold steady, but the value of the dollar that we're working with will be worth less, and therefore it'll take more of them to do what we're doing now. And so I still believe that it's time to continue to cut. I don't think that a city should raise taxes. I understand that the dollar amount isn't being raised, but in my perspective, in my view, I still don't think it's time to raise taxes. I think you should allow that to come down with the economy, come down with the market. That way it'll affect the people with savings and being able to do what they need to do.
Well, I'm curious, from your perspective, at what point would you say that now it's time to stop lowering taxes? Like, what would have to be happening in the city for you to say that too much has been cut?
In my view, let's just take one example to probably illustrate it pretty well. And we've talked about this before with parks. And I looked pretty closely at the schedule for mowing and how much it costs for a mower. And if you look at all of those things, maybe you can mow the grass one time less per week at every single park. And that would save on purchasing a new mower and also paying that person that does that. So, you know, when we get to the point where we're simply maintaining the city, that's where I would feel comfortable right now in this environment. I don't think we're at that point yet. And that's something that would be the ultimate goal.
Okay.
See, and I think this is why we're here. I'll disagree with that in that, you know, building permits for this year are on pace to be equal to or even a little bit more than what they were last year. So I'll think that we've hit bottom a little bit. And I think one of the things that we really offer well, that in a time where we're looking to not just talk about cuts, we're looking to grow. You know, we're looking to add amenities, whether it's, you know, shopping, whatever. We're looking to grow, and we need to do more not necessarily more, but we need to maintain the upkeep that we're doing, whether it's our parks, our trails, just even the medians that we have. Because if we're trying to entice business to come here, we need to make it an attractive place for them to come. We can't have something where, okay, well, you know, Maurice's, we want you to come here, come and look at it, and they see a big weed pile. You know, so I'll disagree on that. I think we need to maintain some of those services because we are in a position that we've done such a good job that we can actually go out and start looking for opportunities to grow. And we've got space. We've got 6,000 square acres right now that we can put, you know, homes, business, and whatever, and it's an opportunity for us that not many cities have right now. You know, Woodbury's got, you know, 455 homes that have already gone into foreclosure. We're nowhere near that, but we're talking about growth instead of talking about what's going on and what's going wrong. And obviously there are some things, that we do have to talk about as far as belt tightening, but I think there are things that we have to make sure we're maintaining because we're trying to attract big things here so that we can continue to grow and put ourselves ahead of some of the places that are around us that aren't in that position.